Welcome to Revolutionary Motion, where we show you tennis from a different perspective. In this video, we're going to explain to you what the lag on the forehand side is and how you can achieve it. So first of all, let's take a look at what it is. The lag describes the moment where everything in your body is moving, the rotation is moving, but your racket seems to have stopped. It stops back here, it doesn't move forward, everything else moves, and then all of a sudden the whipping effect catches the racket and the racket gets swung forward. So how do we create this movement or this pause of the movement? The good news is you don't really have to worry about it as long as you do everything else correctly. Now, what is everything else? It's basically the upper body rotation and not, and this is very important, not actively hitting with your hand. If you actively hit with your hand, you will not create any lag. Okay, because the lag, what it is, it's basically all the tension, all the kinetic energy that you create is pushing towards the wrist, and the wrist and forearm turns back like this while everything else starts moving, so the racket doesn't really move forward because the energy gets saved up in your wrist and then explodes into the shot. Now, why do we need this? We need this to hit the ball much harder with less effort. So obviously you can play tennis without the lag. You can just hold the racket very tight, take the racket back and kick it forward, right? At this point, you're not including your wrist in the whole motion. That means you're not going to be able to get that whipping effect that every single tennis player wants to get on their forehands, backhands, and serves. So in order to do this properly, what we have to do is we have to make sure that we do our backswing. You take our racket back, and now before we try to move our racket forward, we have to make sure that our upper body rotation starts, right? And as you can see here, when I start my rotation, the first bit of the rotation doesn't move my racket at all because the only thing that happens is my shoulders are turning. So my shoulder blade, my right shoulder blade, locks in the back when I turn it far enough. So at the point that my right shoulder blade locks in, that's the point where now my arm and my upper body get connected. So that means I can't move them independently. So now if I keep moving from that point, I keep moving my shoulders further this way, it will start to pull my arm with it, right? The motion will continue, my arm will start moving. But now you can also see at this point here, my shoulder blade is now locked in, but my arm is not at the highest tension that it could possibly have. So that means if I turn further, my upper arm will start moving, but my arm will just create more tension because of that weight that I have in my hand, which is the racket. So that weight will hold my hand back. It will create that tension for me. And if you can watch really carefully to my arm here, when that happens, my arm kind of twists back this way a little bit further. And that's where the lag happens. As soon as the tension gets, so tough that my arm cannot twist this way any further, that's the moment that my racket will start swinging forward. Until then, my arm and my racket will not really, well, my racket itself, my arm will move, my racket will not move. So that means it will stay back here, creating that effect that everybody sees that is seen as a lag. And that effect is super important when it's about creating power in your forehands. So make sure, in order to create the lag properly and in order to create that forehand whip that everybody wants, that killer forehand that can hit winners from anywhere on the court, you have to make sure that you start your motion in the right spot. Don't start by swinging with your hand. Don't try to accelerate your racket. Try to accelerate your shoulders and let the racket follow. When that happens, the lag will happen, the whipping effect will happen, and you'll have a lot more access to easy power.
Hope you enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe, and we'll see you guys soon.